Hello, good evening. I'm gonna check pad. I can hear myself.
You don't need to reveal a secret, you know.
I know, but I could just hear myself and I didn't like it. Good evening. It is Club Call. Me and John are gonna be taking some calls tonight, and I want your thoughts on Chelsea Football Club. But it's not really. You know what? It isn't really about Chelsea. It's about the fact that Everton are waiting to hear from a independent commission about a technical
what's thought to be
a technical breach of profit and sustainability rules, PSR, as our mate Kev Felwell says, calls it. And yeah, Chelsea, it's come out overnight, lots of stories, particularly The Guardian have ran a big thing on how they have, it appears there has been massive breaches and lots of payments to places where money shouldn't have been going. In the Premier League, it was all done to conceal from the Premier League. The reason why it's come to light is when Big Ted took over, Toffee took over, they reported this to the Premier League and they're saying nothing to do with us, Gov. But the reality is, but the real and they paid £8.6 million to UEFA to just get the little. We're clear now. We're all right now with that £8.6 million sound. But it's in a period where they won 5 Premier Leagues and FA Cup, Europa League, Champions League, all while this was going on. And there's tons of breaches here. There's tons of questionable payments which have been put down by The Guardian. Lots of different things, paying managers from different places and all that, done to conceal stuff. And they're obviously now, the report saying, facing a points deduction. But when this will happen, who knows? But John, I find it incredible, really, that if it is, as we're led to believe, just one breach, and maybe, because we don't know, but maybe it's a technical breach, as they say, that wasn't done to benefit the sporting side, really. I find it incredible that we've been dragged forward in this showcase to slap our wrist, to kick our backside, when the Premier League knew that this was going on. I'll come on to more stuff in a minute as to why I feel Everton should be looked at differently. But do you find it a little bit hypocritical of the Premier League to haul Everton across the coals when this was going on in the background as well? Maybe you don't.
Hypocritical, I don't know about that, to be honest.
You can use any word you want.
Yeah.
I think my personal opinion, the idiots, because they've opened the can of worms that will come back and bite them on the ass.
The workings of the Premier League appear to be increasingly mimicking the workings of UEFA and the workings of FIFA, in the sense that it doesn't seem the way it does stuff is always timely. And if you start off with you've done something wrong, the first thing in their minds doesn't seem to be, what have you done wrong? It's, who are you? So, we go down the left channel if you're one of the treacherous 6, and we go down the right channel if you're not. Yeah. Now, that might not be fair on the Premier League. It might not be fair on the FA. It might not be fair on UEFA. It might not be fair on FIFA. But that's just what it looks like, right? And it allows you to promote a question with hypocritical. They've known about Chelsea minimally from when Clearlake told them. And when you're being compared, frankly, with the UEFA, and not necessarily coming out of it looking well, because UEFA got notified by Clearlake, who I think have played the honest person here, in the sense of, we've done due diligence to buy this business, we've seen things which don't quite look right, therefore we've reported them to the FA or the Premier League, and we've reported them to UEFA. UEFA jumped on it straight away, and said, right, okay, well, we only look at the last 3 years because that's how our rules work. You've been naughty. And then they negotiated a fine with Chelsea Football Club, and was it 8.6, was it?
8.6 million.
Yeah. So they agreed an £8.6 million fine.
That'll hurt them, John. That'll teach them.
Oh, they're petrified. Absolutely petrified. And as part of that, as you said or imply, Chelsea go, well, we're okay with UEFA then. And guess what? Premier League haven't done anything yet. And I think the Guardian, and I keep saying the Premier League, but it's the FA who are looking into this, I think. And the Guardian have asked for comments, and of course the answer they've got is, yes, it's an ongoing investigation, normal pack drill, we don't talk about it.
Premier League have said nothing.
Premier League, not to do,
to comment.
Yeah, not to do with us, Gov, perhaps, yeah. But the reality is that UEFA found enough in the last 3 years, and the new owners of Chelsea said, yeah, guilty as charged, whilst mitigating that nothing to do with us, we're squeaky clean, we're always going to comply with the rules, which is good, right? Which is almost like drawing a line in the sand that says, prior to that, it was Abramovich. After this, it's us. Yeah. And after this line, we're going to be good boys, right? Yeah. So you would have thought, at least by now, to follow the Premier League's approach, they would have been referred to an independent commission with a case to answer. Yeah, because they've already pleaded guilty to UEFA, and presumably the FA/PL know that they're guilty because they pleaded guilty to UEFA. So one would be really concerned that behind the scenes, the reason we haven't heard anything is because Chelsea and the FA/Premier League are deciding what sort of punishment they should have for pleading guilty. Yeah. Whilst meanwhile, in a show trial, Everton are still waiting the outcome of, as you say, what is thought to be a technical breach. That is, we haven't tried to hide anything. We haven't told lies. Yeah. We've just apparently broken the rules. Yeah. In a way that technical might be a euphemism for trivial. Yeah. And we'll find out when the KC publishes, the results of the independent commission. But I think Premier League itself should be very afraid if it really looks like it was a show trial just because they quite fancy regulating themselves for another 20 or 30 years like they have done over the last 20 or 30 years.
Absolutely. I mean, like I've said on a different thing, Richard Masters, I'm expecting him to resign. I think his position's untenable now. It's
on his watch while all this is going on.
Exactly. You've got Man City going on in the background, 122 charges, but it's being kicked down the road. You've got Everton on one, hauled across the calls, nonsense stories being put on social media today that it's 12 points by the end of the week by someone with Newcastle United FC in his tag, and the Evertonians have fell for it.
I think that's a bit of banter, that one.
I don't know, people have took it, 12 points deduction at the end of the week. People have took it seriously.
People will go with headlines without doing the minimum of due diligence.
Exactly, that's gone on. You've got Chelsea now, the Premier League knew about it. And the reason why I find it incredible is Everton couldn't buy a packet of tissues without the Premier League saying yes or no for 2 years. We're getting scrutinised by the Premier League because of money spent at the time. Said this before and I'll do it again. We were building a new stadium which benefits us as fans, of course.
No, that counts in PSR, but
it counts to me.
Yeah, no. I mean, it shouldn't be in the numbers, but I know what you mean. The stadium should. It does put a stretch on your business, exactly, which is your point. So
the Everton should have been applauded and had an arm round them from the Premier League.
The societal value of that new stadium is immense.
Exactly. So
great story for the Premier League, which no doubt they'll spin when it's ready.
Of course they'll spin it, and it'll be spun in your own. They'll be like, look at us, look at how great we are. But yeah, seen that happen too many times. A global pandemic, which is unprecedented, absolutely unprecedented, and we lost a huge amount of money because of the Russia-Ukraine war, which hammered us. And not only was all that going on, which are unprecedented, we had them then deciding to come in and look over our shoulder, telling us
what you had to do,
what we had to do,
the outcome you had to deliver, knowing full well there was only one or two ways of doing it,
and that included us selling our talisman, who wanted to stay, and we had to sell him at the 12th hour to go to Spurs because
let's be clear,
the only way we could make money. And let me
sorry, mate.
Flow. And for those 2 years that they were there going, no, you can't have that bag of sweets. No, see that player who really going to improve you big time, you're not signing him just because I say so. We do that, they put us in a relegation battle for 2 seasons because they hindered us massively. And then at the end of it, because someone's coming to mark their homework and they haven't done it, we're the easiest one to drag in front of the thing. You're getting, would you? I threw the book. Oh, yeah, the NIAS rule. Remember the NIAS rule? Use the NIAS rule. Bang, let's get these. Let's get them up. Let's make a big thing. Let's feed all the nonsense journalists who mainly work for the Daily Mail.
That's you, Matt.
Yeah, Matt. Give him all of this. We want 12 points. We want this. Look how great we are. We can regulate ourselves.
Oh, leaking that
Look
at
at that
wholly
leaking.
inappropriate time.
All bollocks. And then doing that after our chairman passed away. Get that story out today as well. Let's make sure it hits homes. Particularly Chelsea as well, who've admitted, like you said, guilt. Shh, don't say nothing about them. Don't say nothing about them because they're powerful and they'll twist us in knots. While creaming all the other stuff, while directing the PGMOL to convince, different things, while royally cocking up VAR, which works everywhere else quite comfortably in the world, by the way. While holding
the rest
off.
of the world doesn't get why we can't do it.
Everyone. I mean, we had Roberto De Zerbi at the weekend saying VAR's great. Works in every other country, bar this one.
The one with the biggest income stream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the one where they like to manipulate what results actually
Maybe
happen.
one
So
leads
there
to the
you go. I mean, it's all there. The Premier League is a nonsense. Richard Masters, like I said, his position's untenable. He must resign. And half of them, if not all of the rest of the Premier League people who are up there need to go as well because this is nonsense. And the sooner, for me, that the independent regulator gets in here, the better, so that they can't mark their own homework and decide who to punish and who not to. Because, like I said, it's a showcase, this. And Evertonians, now's the time to be
angry.
Like we see from a lot of other clubs where the minute someone has a go at them, the next minute they're out the woodwork, they're out in the rocks, they're out behind the computers. We know what clubs they are. Maybe it's time we started doing it, and then other fans who feel aggrieved at what's gone on, maybe they do, because we've been kicked from pillar to post over this period because of the Premier League, and it's got worse and worse and worse, and I'm disgusted with it. And this Chelsea stuff that's out there now in the public domain, I know you'd already written a bit on it.
Back in August,
you'd seen it, but it's out there now with all of this stuff that's gone on. And yet I keep reading about Everton. Jamie Carragher said it the other week. Hang on. What about City? Where's these stories? Wait, Ped, what did Jamie Carragher say about the stories about City?
I think he said,
what's going on? What's all these stories about Manchester City?
See, is that what he said?
Something like that.
Oh, you were on camera.
And
his actions were really good.
He said it though, hasn't he? He's right. He's
right.
How come there's no stories about City, but I'm reading about Everton every day? So City will get 1 million point deduction and Chelsea will get 937 points deducted, and they'll be in the Belvale Junior League because that's the only place they can play with when the points are taken off them. But they won't. It'll just be brushed by Matt under the stairs or wherever he lives. Can't go out, there's a full moon and all that. It'll all be brushed to one side because it's just little old Everton. And I'm sick of it now. I'm absolutely sick of it. Off you go, Mr. Blake.
That was all right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for... No, we're going to carry on, aren't we? But I think you're right. And we've done a few live shows earlier in the day, and it's amusing if you are not Everton, right? Because it's not us, is it? If I'm a Newcastle fan or a Wolves fan or a Nottingham Forest fan or a Leicester fan.
Wolves had to come to an agreement with financial fair play.
Yeah. That was the EFL, wasn't it? Yeah.
I know, but they had to pay
No, they had to do it. Point is, guys, it's you next week. Because if you're in the 14, right, not the 7, the boys, right, and all that jazz. But if you're in the 14, you are turkeys voting for Christmas. Because you are letting this cartel of the so-called elite, my treacherous six, and so on, ride roughshod over you because you've just done it. And that was about more control than what happened at lunchtime.
Yeah,
by the
I'll
way,
probably get wound up again
when you were really, really angry, right? Yeah. But while Chelsea and City were allegedly doing these things, it's in the same period. City were winning everything, and you've just listed the things Chelsea were winning. Towards the end of that period, they tried to destroy English football and walk off into the sunset.
And then got to choose their own punishment.
And then the 14 voted to give them more money for bleep expletive, guys. Come on, right? So you're right to say they're not fit, the Premier League, to regulate themselves. They've demonstrated that over and over and over again. And I'm pretty sure whether it's under the guidance of the chief exec, the chair's changed the chair's changed not so long ago, therefore unlikely to be the chair's fault. Yeah, although she has an opportunity to fix it, maybe have a word with the chair, with the chief exec, right? They've just made it worse, right? So they've tried to have a show trial, which has happened. We're just waiting on the result. You know, the judge and jury are out, and we're waiting for the result. And whatever happens, it's not going to be very nice, is it? Because if Everton get a slap wrist, then the club or the fans, you know, as the club, we should go ape about why have we gone through all this stress and pressure and, you know, okay, a bit of banter and the fact that we're all cheats, the fact that we should be thrown out the league, Let's pretend at one extreme we just get told, naughty boys, don't do it again, or innocent.
Yeah.
People forget the innocent bit, right? Or whatever. And at the other extreme, they slap us with the biggest punishment they can because they still want their show trial thing. What's going to happen to Chelsea and City then? Because their scale of deception, if found guilty of the things which they've alleged to been doing, and one assumes from a Man City point of view, if there's well over 100 things you've done wrong, at least some of them must be real, yeah? And you started off your little speech there, we've done one thing, which we're led to believe might be, if it's wrong at all, it's a technical breach. And the interrupt was going to be, the Premier League haven't said you must sell Richarlison. They haven't said you can't buy that player. They've said you need to make these books X millions of pounds better by this date. And Everton Football Club, in that moment when we've got two players we could sell to generate that, one of them's long-term injured, thank God he's not now, and the other one, as you say, didn't want to go and look miserable as whatever, where he is now.
Still does now,
So I don't know how we as fans, I mean, Everton fans can do their bit, and we're so active on social platforms and stuff, then we could give them a tsunami of ridicule, I suppose, even when the result comes through. But it's the other fans, I think, need to help.
But I don't know
because the inconsistencies are crazy. It's cheating.
We've said this before, though. Ped's said this loads of times about things like the kick-off time of the FA Cup final, or the amount of tickets you're allocated in games like that.
Stuff like that.
There'll be stuff where at the time you go, whoever, God, they've only been given 20,000 for the FA Cup final. Everyone's like, well, it's bad, that isn't
20
it?
each.
But no one really cares.
Yeah.
And then a next team gets there next year and
they complain.
No one goes at the time, let's all mobilise. So I think people will look at Everton who are fans of other clubs and won't care and just be like, I'm not bothered until it's their club, like you said. But I think us as Evertonians, I think now, we're heading into a new era now, aren't we, at Everton? You know, the board...
One way or another,
board, we're going to have a new board. We're probably going to have new owners.
Eventually,
whenever. A new place to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 12 months. And therefore, we have to maybe... I'm not telling people what to do, but I just wonder if maybe we do have to start protecting our football club from all of the shite that other people give us. Because I see other fans do it. I see a club that is in the same city as us, where nobody can even say, they can criticise, and rightly so, it's family. I can tell my brother he's a knobhead, but if you tell him there's going to be an issue. Liverpool are great at doing that, their fans.
Yeah.
The minute someone says something about
close ranks,
wow, you get it from everywhere.
Newcastle the
same. United fans will do the same.
Yeah.
I think Evertonians have got to start doing the same about our club, because we've been the free kick. They're on the floor, boot them as hard as you can for too long. Some of it we've brought on ourselves, no problem. We've brought some of this on ourselves. But for too long, we've been the person who's limping and they're kicking us in the leg. Us as fans, we haven't made any of these decisions, have we?
No.
But yet
we weren't fans who shouldn't be punished, were we?
Exactly.
Like the treacherous Six fans weren't punished.
We didn't try and break the Premier League, or we didn't try and go and run off to get 450 million
each
and want to still play in this league as well and decide what we do with it. We weren't that. We weren't asking, voting for more. We want the money. You give me more money, which the Six did, or they were going to do their own thing. We didn't do that.
Wave them off.
We should have done, but I'm talking not even about the Super League. This was about international broadcast rights, where they said, well, we're going to sell our own rights then, whatever. And everyone went, okay,
have more money.
Have more. All of that's gone
You
on.
can no longer believe that turkeys don't vote for Christmas.
It's all done.
Because the 14 do.
Exactly, and they should have kicked them out, and they didn't. So I think us as a fan base now, we are an unbelievably vocal, engaged fan base when we need to be.
Very witty as well.
Exactly, but I think now we have got to start having the clubs back, going after. I think going after the Premier League. This, no matter what the outcome is, we've been dragged.
Have you started with the chief exec? Have you?
All of them, John.
Yeah, but you've started with the chief exec, haven't you?
Banners. I've seen people wanting to make banners with the Premier League badge with corrupt on and things.
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
we've seen those, haven't we?
There's all of them.
Yeah,
I think they'll come out now. I think people will go after it because we have been the butt of jokes. We've been stories, 12 points, this, that for weeks, months on end, which affects people. And we've been through 2 relegation battles for 2 years as a result of the Premier League saying, can't bring extra players in because our rules, which aren't fit for purpose anyway, because it just benefits 6 teams, and you want to try and compete? Nah, sorry, you can't compete because you don't bring in as many telly fans as what they do. They have ensured that Everton ended up in a relegation battle, and the stress that we've had to suffer from. End of.
You're not talking, but I can hear you.
I know.
Oh, that's because I've got the. Hang on. Sorry,
That's gone. But we have got Sharpie on the line.
Not the Sharpie.
I mean, it could be. It could be. Who knows? Who knows? Sharpie, right? That's enough of me waffling on and moaning.
Yeah.
So,
can you hear me, lads?
Go on, I can hear you.
Yeah, mate, can. Yeah.
I mean, I've got to cool up. I've got to cool this temperature that's going down that studio. It's getting a bit heated there, boys, isn't it?
Well, you know.
We're calm now.
We're calm.
Oh, yeah, you're all right. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have had us at lunchtime.
Yeah, we weren't happy at lunchtime, that's for sure.
Okay.
How
right.
are you, Sharpie, anyway?
I'm all right. Yeah, we got to talk 6 wins out of 9. How you feeling? Come on, let's get this positivity back. How you feeling?
It's all right.
We're feeling good. We just don't want. We just feel like people are trying to take points off us that they shouldn't be. That's where the moaning that bit comes from. And I think when it's done in plain sight, like it is now, I don't know how anyone could think that people aren't trying to manipulate stuff, which is what
I think. Yeah, it's classic walk like a duck type stuff, isn't it? I mean, minimally PL. Separate thing on the sports side at PG Mall. They need to get their act together and say, because what things look like, perception is what you've got to try and fix, right? And the perception is that there are clubs who get treated differently.
Absolutely.
And they're the ones, surprisingly, who are always winning things and always in and around the top of the league.
You get the most penalties and everything else. Anyway, as you said, Sharpie, we've won 6 out of 9.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Well, it's good, isn't it? It's I mean, we can only do what we can do on the pitch, right? And that's all we can do. And it was a good win down at Palace.
Yeah.
I think we got a pretty decent record there, haven't we? I think. I'm not quite sure of the stats. I mean,
that was our 7th win there in the Premier League, and obviously they haven't been in the Premier League.
I think we've lost once in the league there in about 10 years, something like that.
Yeah. I went to the one, I can't even remember when it was, to be honest, when we won 1-0 when Coleman scored in the last few minutes. I went to that game. Yeah, that was a good little game and a good win. I remember that one quite clearly. Yeah, but I can't remember what minute he scored. It was very, very late though, from what I remember.
86th minute from Seamus Coleman under Ronald
Is that what
Koeman.
it was?
Yeah, passed by Tom Davis in the yellow.
Baz is a proper anorak. He doesn't forget anything.
That's the what? It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yellow kit. Tom Davis slid Seamus in. That was Koeman, and he smashed in the roof of the net, wasn't he?
Didn't we win there under Allardyce as well?
No, it might have been. Hang on. Let me think. No, well, Allardyce, we had Rooney. No, it was Koeman, wasn't it? Because we drew 1-1 with when Rom scored the free kick at home against Palace. And Benteke scored the header. I think it was under Koeman, and I think Adamola Luckman came on as a sub as well in there. No, Allardyce away wins with Newcastle, Huddersfield, Stoke, It's Ronald Koeman.
Yeah.
Carry on, I was right, it was Ronald Koeman.
Yeah, that game Coleman scored on the right-hand side.
He did, smashed it into the roof of the net,
Yeah, it was quite a tight angle, but I remember I was pretty close to that one. That was anyway. But this game the other day was brilliant. What a win! Nice to get the goals as well. And I was watching the game, and I was kind of thinking similar along the lines as Ped. No one really kind of stood out. It was a good effort. But then I thought Taki was probably. Well, he's got to be man of the match at the moment. No one, he was standing out, I should say, actually, compared to the others, I would say. But
you mean Mykolenko, don't you? Really?
Oh, he was superb. Oh yeah, Mykolenko, he's really come on leaps and bounds, isn't he? He looks really quite exciting when he gets forward, because he can use both legs as well. He's got a couple of shots now, left and right-footed, and making a difference, isn't he, Mykolenko?
He's having one-to-one sessions with Dwight McNeil to.
Is that right?
To strengthen his right foot. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, Taki was a rock, but I just can't get over that mistake he made. What was he thinking? What was he thinking?
He got a shout. He must have done.
From who though? It wasn't Jordan.
No, that's
Jordan had a go.
It was clearly the Palace player. Yeah.
But they're supposed to have sayings that means you can't go. Takis or Pickers or whoever, they've got stuff like, you hear them.
Zebedee!
Yeah, they say like mad things, which means whatever. Because he normally just heads that away, doesn't he?
But last minute decision to duck, wasn't it?
But
I just can't believe an experienced pro like that would do that so close to goal.
What I would say though, mate, is if he's gonna make a mistake, make it in a game where you then go and win it, and that'll be
exactly.
That's Taki's mistake done. Then we've won, and we move on from it. Same at Jared. Don't dangle a leg out twice in a game. Do you know what I mean? And give a penalty away.
Yeah, he had a tough one, didn't he?
For the first 45 minutes, I thought was his poorest for Everton this season. But I thought he'd come out second half and was excellent. So that's signs of a good player. He reset at half time.
It'll make him better as well.
And got on. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I say, Taki and Miko. I guess you probably would say were the standout guys.
And Decore, you have to say Decore. He scored one and made two, didn't he?
Ganna didn't do much when he came on, though, did he?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, well, Decore is a conversation I want to have with you another time in a bit more in depth, actually. Because he is something of an enigma, that guy.
Yeah, he totally is. Yeah.
Tim Cahill.
Away Decore is a lot better than home Decore.
Away Decore is like the danger man. At home, he's not so much, but that's probably just
style of play stuff.
We play slightly differently at home, so he's not as effective. But
the fact that we're bouncing names around is, you're right, Sharpie, that they all played okay. I thought Ashley Young was good for the change.
It's a team game, wasn't it? It was a team game, and that was it. A team performance, and maybe those three that we talked about there edged it in terms of. Yeah, they were a bit better than the others around them, but that's what you need. You need the team to all go and do the job. McNeil and Harrison obviously
very hard.
Set the goal up straight away. But
I thought he had a better game. Harrison.
Well, I think defensively excellent at both of them, and offensively, they need to do better. But they're doing a job away from home, which is digging, very much like they did at West Ham.
Yeah,
go and dig in and protect and make sure we don't give much away. Then at Goodison, you want them to be more on the front foot.
We got a bit of a problem with DCL though, haven't we? Because obviously he's clearly a talented player, right? But we're not using him to the best. Would you say? I mean, he was pretty much. He just didn't get involved.
He was isolated. I think
I just feel like we're not finding ways to use his talents. We got to try and find a way. How do we do that?
I think again, it's a tough. Well, I don't know what he says to Dom, but I think when you go away from home, yes, Everton's issue with Dominic Calvert, it's not an issue with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's Dominic Calvert-Lewin's issue with Everton. I think would be is that you're not getting people close enough to me if I'm Dom, and you're not giving me anything to go at. We haven't got enough crosses into areas I can attack the ball. I can only think of one really in the first half, which Joel Ward headed onto Dom and it went out.
I saw one that Mykolenko scored from. That's the sort of cross he wants.
Yeah, for him you mean? Yeah. I'm just talking about one where we actually went for Dom. The only real one was the one Ward headed onto. Yeah. So that's the issue. We're not getting people round them close enough, and that was, to be honest, that was the case against Brighton at home. He won it virtually every header, and Decore never ran past him really once to get on the end of it. But I think when you go away from home, it's about doing your job. It's as in what helps the team. I think you have to be a little bit less selfish when you're away.
Yeah.
So you have to go and do the job. Get hold of the ball for us. Can you keep it? Can you get us up the pitch?
Yeah.
But we won the game. And
We did.
So you come off and go, well, we've won. So the manager will say, well, Dom won't score every week. He done a job. And then when he was tired,
We took him off and
we
brought
took him
Beto on.
off and we put Beto on. And Beto could have ended up with a goal himself.
And he did a job as
and
well.
He done a job. So
Yeah.
It was a very good second half performance. You know, it's a couple of goals, much better without the 60 million plus rated Onana, I thought.
Oh, that's just because you've had an issue with Amadou, haven't you? Yeah.
Do you think there's any way that we can get DCL and Beto working together?
No.
Not going to happen, right?
I don't think so.
I think for isolated games,
There might be an overlap.
maybe.
You know.
Maybe. I don't see.
Can't see us a way of getting those two up front.
Not playing four. No, I think if you were gonna go that route, you'd have to change the whole team around. They'd have to go three at the back. You'd have to have McNeil as a left wing back, and then maybe Harrison as the right wing back, and then you could have the two strikers. But then that's shifting the style of the team, isn't it? I'm not saying it can't happen, and I'm not saying the manager won't try a 4-4-2 at one time, but I would be surprised. I think the only way would be maybe if Decore was injured for a game or suspended and it was a home game. He might say to Beto, play a little bit deeper than Dom. But he's never going to do what Decore does, Beto, is he? Do you know what I mean? But listen, who knows? He did use it at Burnley at times, but I think right now it's one or the other.
And if you've got that 1-1, then Gay perhaps and Danjuma would be in front of Beto as the other one, wouldn't he?
I really want to see Beto
Yeah.
start scoring a few goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I quite like him, actually. He's a bit of a grafter, and he gets involved. He's quite physical. We saw. I really liked his goal. The one goal that he did score for us was a really smart finish.
Oh, it was a good goal, but it was against League 2 opposition.
Yeah, Doncaster.
Yeah, but even so, it was a good finish.
No,
and he
it
took
was.
it well.
Listen, I like Beto, I do.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I think for him to really put Dominic Calvert-Lewin under pressure, for starts, he's got to be able to protect the ball better. Doesn't hold the ball up well enough. He wants to turn and run, which is great because it's a different profile and that's what you want. And there are his strengths, running, knocking people about, and he does work hard. I agree. So it's that. I reckon it's that part of his game right now that the manager's looking, thinking, if you're our target and we're knocking it up to you, you can't get hold of it for us.
Comes back
a bit quickly. I think that's it. But don't forget, this is a fella coming in from a new league as well. So he's got to get up to speed. But we're going into a month now, Sharpie, where there's a lot of games before Christmas, and the manager will have to. You can't flog Dom.
7 games in December,
like
isn't it?
Exactly, and obviously you've got United next.
Dom's not going to play 90
Dom's
minutes
not going to play all
of
those games. So the manager will have to use him. Then it's up to Beto to grab it then, and if Danjuma gets a go, it's up to him to grab it, and it's the same. And we'll see the squad.
So to put you on the spot a little bit, I mean, how many goals can you see Beto getting this season?
If he got half a dozen, we'd be chuffed, I think.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
And that's not saying he can't, and he shouldn't be aiming for 6 or 7, because he absolutely should. And who knows, he might be a player who, when we start creating chances for him, I mean, all of his chances, he's sort of made himself so far.
Yeah.
Whereas there was just one again. He should have scored at Brentford, and he in his second game, Sheffield United's second game, should have scored at Brentford when he clipped it over the keeper. And against, who was it at home? Bournemouth at home. There was one that he should have squared to Michalenko to make it 4-0, and he shot and he put it into the side net. And we need him middle of the goal with a tap in to get him going.
We do.
And he knows he might get 6 or 7, 8. Who knows? But you've got to get that first one that settles you down. And I think every Evertonian, certainly the way he celebrated against Burnley when he had an assist, I think he wants to do really well for the club. So I think
and he engaged with the fans after the Palace game as
so
well.
the first goal he gets, I think depending on how it comes, obviously. If it comes,
he'll get booked for celebrating.
Quite possibly, but he needs that sooner rather than later, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all want to see him get scoring, getting goals like we do in the Everton forward.
Definitely.
I've got one final question, if that's all right.
Go on.
It's not Everton related. It's kind of more general, and actually, it's for John. Actually, because I think a question I've been meaning to ask you guys for a while about undisclosed fees.
Oh yeah.
Why do they do it? And also, do you think the fans have a right to know how much the club is spending on players?
Oh, the right to left is easier, I suppose, and it's personal. I don't think it should matter to fans whether they know or not. Yeah, clearly, we've talked about this on the channel quite a lot. I mean, because of the allegations against us and so on, our fans are more interested sometimes on financial matters than we certainly should be. We should be debating when's Beto going to score, or how many is he going to score, or whatever. I think you've got to go one way or the other, to be honest. I think it's neither fish nor fowl now, is it?
Sometimes they disclose it, sometimes they don't.
Yeah,
why do they do that?
Well, generally speaking, I think it's because if you disclose a fee, it can be deduced in some respects when the accounts come out, but that happens 18 months later. Yeah. A selling club, particularly if they're selling a player that the fans might not want them to sell, want to be able to say that this player was sold for £500 trillion. Yeah. And the buying club want to say we got him for 50p. Yeah. And when they can't agree, I think they go undisclosed, to be honest. Yeah. So that's that. But I think it would be entertaining if it was totally transparent. You know, if you had a clearinghouse mechanism where we could just go and, a bit like they can actually, I think, certainly Premier League can do it, can't they? Log on a website and go and have a look and say, oh, look, he got sold for this and the agent got that and the payment terms are this and so on. I don't think that's commercially sensitive in a traditional sense. But I just think it's grown up the way it has, and when they can't really agree between them, the easiest way out is to agree to go undisclosed. Yeah. So
right. So it's just the two clubs not agreeing the actual deal.
No. The actual deal is the actual
deal.
deal.
Of the deal.
Sorry,
cost of the deal.
Yeah, the deal's on the deal
They
sheet.
don't want it.
Yeah, the deal's on the deal sheet. It'll appear in both clubs' accounts. If we buy a player for 50 million, then our accounts show that we've spent 50 million and their accounts show that they received it. I think in that example, we think, my gosh, why would we spend, that much money on a Scandinavian-based midfield player? Yeah. Then you can save yourself a bit of grief, can't you, by just saying it's not disclosed, that transfer fee. And the only reason I would think, because what's interesting is when it's international type stuff, it'll get reported in England or by the club as undisclosed, and then the overseas clubs say exactly what it was. You know what I mean?
We've had that before.
We've had that before. So no, I think the deal's done and everything's agreed. It's just that they just want a bit of positive PR, and once, of course, accounts come out and multiple transfers have gone on, then it's very hard to unpick them and say which one was it and how much was it and so on. Why does it get on your nerves, Sharpie, or something? Or are you just nosy, are you? You've got to know.
No, I guess it doesn't get on my nerves. I just kind of wonder, why does it happen sometimes and not others?
I just think, as I say, it's because they can't agree what to publicise. That's all I think, yeah.
Right. But I think more importantly, that I kind of thought, well, don't the fans deserve to know? I mean,
no, I don't think fans deserve to know.
They don't really deserve that.
No, not really. Just like when we don't deserve to know what salary a player's getting or anything like that.
Why though? If people want to know, why would you say you don't deserve to know?
Because I just don't believe that you deserve to know. Well, why? What value apart from being nosy do you get out of knowing? Yeah, I mean, you don't get told how much an actor earns or in a theatre just because you bought a ticket. I demand to know the guy who's playing bloody, Henry IV. I want to know how much he's earning. Yeah,
no, fair enough.
But I do think it would be entertaining, and they could perhaps, the league could probably generate income if they said there's a portal here, where you can all go and have a look. Because all the stuff's on deal sheets, isn't it? And what have you. If they just publicised the deal sheet, that would be quite entertaining. You wouldn't see all the detail, but you know what the transfer fee was.
Do you think why do you think the reason is why they don't do it?
Because they can't agree from a PR point of view what the number is. They know what the number really is. So you imagine I don't know, a chief exec of a club has said, we're never selling this guy, and he's not getting sold for less than 50 million, then they sell him for 30. So it goes undisclosed.
Yeah.
So, that's all I can think.
Okay.
Maybe we should ask people in the industry that we know, saying, why
it's weird, isn't it?
why do you do so many? We'll do that. Yeah.
It is a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I don't know if there's anybody else waiting. I just one final question is, who should we get in there?
Is this your second final question, Sharpie?
It is. I've started so I shall finish.
Sorry, what was it? Go on.
Who do you think we should be looking for in the January sales? I nearly said.
That's one for our international expert here.
Who we got to go and get?
I would pick.
Okay, if you could say we could get two players.
Sorry, Ped was wanting Wolfgang Peterson. Go on, tell me. Say it again. Sorry, mate.
If you could just get a couple of players.
Is that all? Just two?
Just two. That's all you're getting. That's all our budget can afford.
But first of all, I'd be amazed if we can afford 2 players in January.
Come on, let's have your right-sided midfield player that you keep wanting.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen. Would we have the money to go and get? If you're talking about the loan position, I'm not going to name players for because we wouldn't have the money to get the ones I want. But I think ideally I'd like a right winger who's quick. So we had that option on the right with Harrison. But if I could only have one, it would be a midfield player who puts his foot on the ball, a little bit of a more creative midfield player, someone who
tennis.
Yeah, but can maybe do a little bit of both, just in case, because I think, particularly in some of the home games, like we're talking about, like Decore, and don't forget we are thin in midfield, but someone who could just either play where Decore plays at Goodison, or if Dukes has to play deeper because of an injury or whatever, you've got someone to come on and get on the ball a little bit. That'd be the area I'd be looking at. Who that is, who's not in a team.
Who's not going to cost an arm and a leg.
Well, I think nobody... I don't think Everton will be buying anybody in January.
Saving for the summer.
One.
No, but I do think they will try to get 1 or 2 loans in if they can.
Because they were in the last window, they just didn't manage to get them over the line.
So I think it's difficult.
The goalkeeper.
Unless you took... but unless you take a big gamble in January, then what is the point? You've got to be certain they're going to come in, and can we, without having 25 million quid at least to spend, can Everton really go and get someone who you'd go, I'd rather have him than him at the moment? I don't think they'd be looking at it like that, because don't forget, next summer there could be a midfield over. You've got to redo the midfield, because Harrison...
what happens to Onana? Harrison might go back. Danjuma certainly will.
Danjuma won't stay. Harrison will go back. Amadou might go out. Garner's 35. All of a sudden,
Onana will be sold for 80 million.
Well, exactly. So it's a difficult one to be in. So if I was looking at a loan, it would be for a kind of a creative midfield player,
which we've been lacking for a while.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. That's what I'd be looking at.
So they'll have a big long list, and if that one of that list pops up available in Jan, then they'd probably grab it.
I know people will say a centre back and all that, but who are we going to get who's not in a team, who's happy to come and sit on Everton's bench?
Better than what we've got,
Exactly. It is a tricky one, because when all the midfielders are fit, you're going, well, all right, who's better, who we could get on loan than who's going to go? And there will be good players out there who aren't playing. And obviously, the big advantage Everton will have, just to finish, is the longer that goes on in the window, you get to the area of that transfer window where players who might be talented and might want to crack are seeing the Euros a few months away and aren't playing, and therefore might want to get a game, and you might be able to then go, you know what, we could take him from Juventus or whoever because he wants game time, and we can integrate him. You might get stuff like that, but it's a tough one, that.
Creative midfielder. Okay, all right.
Yes.
I'll keep an eye out for you.
Good lad. I mean, I've got a few, but that isn't for now.
All right, lads. That's enough of me. Thanks for the chat. I'll speak to you again soon.
Cheers, Sharpie. Ta-ra, mate. Bye.
Ta-ra.
If you are a Premier member and you want your say, particularly about Chelsea and all of that, the link is there. Give us a call.
Just press the link, don't you? And
Dead easy.
you don't even have to speak to Ped.
No, dead
He
easy.
just knows you're there.
Lionsy says, Lionsy65 says, evening lads and fellow Blues. I've watched the shows today and I'm furious that we continue to be scrutinised by everyone when we were on the Premier League naughty step at the time of our alleged discrepancy. In my eyes, it's their fault, and now Chelsea, City and others being investigated. Ours better go away or we will play holy hell. Benjamin
That's
says...
him answering your call, Baz.
Got to?
Yeah,
Benjamin
absolutely.
says, I've also watched the shows today and I'm gobsmacked at how this has been allowed to carry on. I thought it was funny at the time of Everton's charge, but if you forget it coincided with the government saying an independent regulator should be in charge. Well, after these findings, no shit. And it takes a very big thing to agree with this Tory government. Alan says, Baz, will Rory be happy with only a 12-point deduction for Chelsea for all their discrepancies? And Matt makes a good point. The problem is 14 clubs hate us because we had ambition, and the top 6 hate us because we tried to get into that club. Yeah, I do think there's a resentment from other clubs because we did try to get in there, but we haven't done it at that level, have we? The way others have done it. Yeah. Emma says, what were they thinking, piping up with a 12-point deduction recommendation for us, knowing what Chelsea have been up to? Said earlier, proof they're not fit to regulate themselves.
And that's a good point, because they did know about Chelsea when they leaked something.
Of course they did.
When they said they weren't going to say anything at all until the commission had finished. Maybe that... Who did they leak that to? Wasn't a Chelsea supporting journalist, was it?
Possibly. The Blues says, strange the Premier League haven't recommended the point deduction for Chelsea, but they did for us. And Damien says, Baz, us versus 2 of the top clubs. Of course, they'd hound us compared to Chelsea and City. Yeah.
There's others in the pipe, though.
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
There are. And Damien also says, what's annoying me is the media and everyone going on about us getting a points deduction, but they haven't mentioned the fact that we have to be found guilty in the first place before we can be punished. Yeah. And then we can appeal as well. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just so frustrating that everyone is just literally going on and on and on about it. But, yeah, what can we do?
It has been quiet for a while about it, though, hasn't it?
About the 12 points?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. There was something yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's because the Chelsea thing was coming out.
And thingy, yeah. And there you go, where you get it from a radio station that talks about sport. They raise it every day or so. And that's Simon.
If you don't listen, you don't hear it.
No, I just see people going, oh, he's mentioned this or he's mentioned that. Football Matters says, get Astro on the case. Yeah. Emma says, it's mad how Pet's been pretty chilled about this today, and Baz has been proper fuming. I am fuming because I hate injustice. I hate it. If everyone's treated the same, then you go, we've all done. But when it's such an injustice like this is, like 122 charges, yeah, the one who's made one charge is treated like the pariah.
I will
like
look forward to the day when Chelsea are referred to an independent commission and journalists of a certain flavour start talking about demands for 12 points, whether the rules need to be changed because 12 points isn't enough due to the volume of alleged transgressions, etc., etc., etc.
Me too, but
I shall not hold my breath, though.
Not at all. Cantos' very own Luke says it's an absolute disgrace the Premier League is separate from the FA and the Football League, honestly. Because they get to do their own thing, don't they?
They're still under the auspices of the FA,
though. Bob says the Premier League want to set a precedent, and I don't think they'll ever get City or Chelsea, and they'll accept Everton points deduction with millions in fines. We have a plus. Been working with the PL.
They're saying they're going to fine us and penalise us with points deduction when they were, as you said, part of the management team, loose management team making decisions.
Yeah, it's a disgrace.
Yeah.
Absolute disgrace. Danny says, bike 2, get Keane free. Toffee plays says, take Hammers for the rest of the season.
Where is he? James?
Fluminense.
Has he gone back to Brazil, hasn't he? Yeah. Is that where he is?
Yeah, he's loving it. Ian says, understand Baz gripe about the Premier League and stopping us spending, but we've brought this on ourselves by losing over 300 million in 3 years and valuing our players on the COVID loss more than anyone. But surely you didn't miss me saying we built a stadium, which no other club is doing, at a huge amount of money. A war also stripped us of huge incomes, which helped us lose a lot of money within that. COVID did stop us selling players. And the Premier League wouldn't allow our owner to put some money in when he wanted to because of rules that are outdated. So that, to me, incredible mitigating circumstances. A global pandemic, building a stadium that benefits all football supporters, creates job, creates regeneration. And you're talking about that as if everyone's playing by the same rules, Ian. When the Six try to rip up English football and do whatever they wanted, take 450 million a season and still pick and choose whether they wanted to play in our league. And also demand that they get more money than anybody else for playing in the same competition. Not to mention the favourable decisions they get and all of that. Not to mention the fact that they put on TV more than anybody else, which accrues £2.5 million every time they're on. So how many more advantages do you want them other clubs to have? Man City turnover 731 million last year.
That's more than 3 times ours.
Everton's 180. They're already huge disadvantages because the Premier League have put them in place. Rules that were... Let's not forget what the rules were for. The rules were put in place to protect a football club from going out of business. And yet you're stopping an owner who wants to put... I'm not talking about open the door and let him put 500 million in a year, but put money in to service the football club. If it's his money putting it in, our football club ain't at risk, is it? It's if John had 500 million and went, I'm putting 200 million of my own money into this club's not going anywhere, is it? It's John losing the money, it's not the football club. And yet that wasn't allowed to happen in a global pandemic, building a football stadium and a war. So I get it, I get what you're saying, but the losses have come at a time of unprecedented times with external circumstances that you wouldn't get most seasons. There wouldn't be a war, a global pandemic, and you're building a brand new stadium while getting that off by the competition you play in. It's already hugely weighted in the favour of 6 teams that wanted to go and do their own thing, take the money, come back, and then got to pick their own punishment. Got to pick their own punishment. That's why I'm pissed off. If you're good with it, sound. No problem, me. Everyone makes their own, has got their own opinion on it. Me personally, I don't like cheating. I don't like injustice. I don't like corruption.
You're like some kind of superhero.
And all 3 of them, are in plain sight.
Open. Yeah.
Plain sight right now. And we have been compliant for far too long. We have got the oil, we've pulled the keks down, and we're bent over the desk going, do whatever you want. And that is what Everton have done for too long. And I'm sorry, it's got to end, because it's got... This Premier League is just pathetic, and we're all compliant in allowing them to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Whatever they want now.
Let's just, because we're on one here, and I think it's valid, because the reference to COVID and stuff like that, right? The way the rules work is when you're naughty, you know... Okay, whatever, right? He's worse than Ned, isn't he, sometimes?
You're not supposed to react, you're supposed
Go
to
on, John.
go.
Yeah. Well, I was like, but the way the rules work is when you break the rules, right? They hold you across the coals, don't they? Say, naughty, right? We've decided to help you to avoid going out of business, which is your point.
Yeah.
We're going to work with you, looking at your accounts, looking at financial decisions that you make, and suggesting whether you should or shouldn't do those things if you want to remain compliant. And Everton Football Club mentioned quite early on We call it the naughty step. They called it working closely with the Premier League.
Yeah.
And that went through the after the COVID stuff, right? And then, because we know these rules are about rolling 3 years and so on, so we've gone to an independent commission for the last 3 years, right? Which means that, you know, the 3 years before those last 3 years we didn't. The 3 years before those last 3 years we didn't. And they were the periods when we were being, if we were being incompetent, negligent, or whatever you want to call it, they were the years we were doing it. And your passion play is quite valid, because when we were being most inappropriate, you know, wasting money, as it turned out, spending too much on certain players and what have you,
enough, and that was our bad,
and therefore we end up with all this cost in our business and not on the field. Okay, when we were at peak incompetence, biggest losses and so on, that's when COVID hit. And then the war hit, right? Which means that a benefactor who wanted to sponsor training grounds, sponsors football stadiums and so on, isn't allowed to
name
do
and
that.
rights for the new stadium.
All of that, right? And then when the rest of us who look at numbers can see we're coming out that tunnel now, we can see line of sight. We haven't been allowed to spend money. We haven't done this. We haven't done that. We haven't done the other. The big losses are falling off. We're coming into compliance with FFP and SR, right? Then they go, oh, by the way, guilty. We've referred you to a commission. And then all the other manipulation that's gone on. Now, that seems timing a bit odd until you remember that the King's speech yesterday talked about an independent regulator.
Of course,
There's no smoke without fire. These naughty, naughty people at the Premier League have got self-interest in mind, and self-interest means we do not want to be independently regulated.
Of course.
Right, so imagine a structure, a marketplace, a business which is totally and squeaky clean, has nothing to hide, and blah, 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 blah. Who really, really, really is offended by the idea of having an overseer who's independent.
No, I know. Sean Collins says Wharton from Blackburn, as who we could buy. He is a good player, younger player, talented. He's quite a good one. Listen, you can buy our Christmas jumper, which is here, obviously. Just there, look at it. How good is it? Hafney won a nod. Well, it's not even a nod. It's the 85 kit when we ruled Europe, ruled England, when the Premier League wasn't, well, it probably was a little bit of a C, but it wasn't there. And we conquered because they didn't know how to handle us. We were amazing. And you can buy this and just think of all them times. The link is in the comments. Go there and get your Christmas jumper. So you've got it for Christmas jumper day. And you've got it when we all unite and stand up and fight back against the Premier League and all of that other nonsense. Matthews. We are coming for you, Matthews. And all these other Tiernos.
Full on Astro there.
The revolution won't be
Don't buy woolly jumpers.
We'll all be wearing woolly jumpers.
All be wearing Christmas jumpers. That's all I want for Christmas. Is Matthews. Right. We have got Jordan on the line. Jordan, are you there?
Yeah. Test.
The
You're
test.
on.
You're on. You're live. You're live to the nation or to the world. There's people from America everywhere. The world. So go ahead, mate. What do you want to say?
Yeah. I'm quite happy with how everything are doing these days. I mean, like, it seemed the weirdest thing is every time we face Crystal Palace, with the even that boring ass 0-0 seems to have some like extra weight attached to it, home or away. I mean, like the 3-1 was the beginning, looked like when it really started sinking in late 2021 that things were going to poo, even ahead of the Watford one. The FA Cup crash out.
Oh, that was horrible.
Is another one. I'm sorry, I'm just doing these in chronological order. They get better, I promise.
Could have been worse.
That 3-2 at our place that saved our season in 2022, Crystal Palace. Our biggest home win in 2022-23, Crystal Palace. Dom coming back after we thought he was as good as gone for good. Crystal Palace. Us turning a critical corner, and the moment when we realized that we're turning a corner and no longer have to look down, but can instead look up.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace, the South London diving team. And it's coincidental. I don't believe in destiny or fate or any of that. It just keeps happening coincidentally, and I find it hilarious.
It's great. You have just, when you go through it like that, Jordan. Yeah, it is. There has been a lot of significant games with Crystal Palace recently, hasn't it? You know, was Benitez? That was the real time that everyone was like, right, we're done here. I mean, it was that mad at that time that Solomon Rondon scored his only Premier League goal for Everton.
Scored, yeah.
That's how seismic that game was. But yeah, no, it has been a fixture that has had mad conversations around it recently.
I mean, often not a huge amount of wins in a whole series, is there? But which is why the media, I guess, thought that the weekend had a boring draw.
In the last 4 games with Crystal Palace,
we've scored a few.
We've scored 3 goals in 3 of the 4 games.
Yeah, we have. 3-2, 3-0, 3-2 with that, as the man said, that boring 0-0 buried in there. You know, with Deitch's. Is that what we got to look forward to?
Holgate sent off, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What? Where are you calling from, Jordan, again? Just remind me.
Where I'm calling from is Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada.
Nova Scotia, that's it, yeah.
Where's the Birkenhead of Halifax?
Fair play. Hey, fair play. Yeah, it is weird, isn't it? It is weird how it.
Well done putting your camera on, because we don't normally get to see guys.
No, we can see me. No one else can, but we can. Isn't it weird? It is weird.
He's a good-looking guy, isn't he?
Yes, John. I mean, you just keep making observations when I'm asking you the question. It's fine.
Go on.
No, I'm just saying it is weird how these games have been strangely pivotal or seemingly pivotal over the last few years.
Yeah, they are. And did you see the video the other day, which was on social media, of DCL's winner against Palace when we stayed up?
I didn't. I've seen it a million times.
But it still gets you every time.
Yeah.
But you're right, and it's a good shout, Jordan. It really is. But I like the 3-goal bit. Can we do that again at home whenever we play?
Yeah, can we do that again a lot more often?
Yeah.
Every week would be nice, Jordan. Yeah. Every week, 3 goals would be lovely.
Let's develop that trend of when we, particularly when we take the lead. Yeah.
If we our next game is against United at home.
We're going to beat them.
United, even ahead of Everton, Manchester United supporters with platforms have the view in the Premier League, probably in the Anglophone football world. We've managed to handle these. It's going to my entire weekend, if not week, of leisure time will be planned.
Mate,
he's got it planned.
He's got a plan ready.
Totally. So what do you think we're going to do to United then, Jordan?
I was going to say, do you fancy us, Jordan, against United?
I fancy us. I mean, sure, some of their folks may be coming back, Casemiro and that. We'll see. There's 2 weeks. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time that'll help a lot of teams struggling with injuries.
Yeah.
Well, I seen something.
No matter who they're to.
Yeah, I seen something yesterday though that said they think they could have 9 players missing by the time they visit Goodison.
Really?
That's so.
So I don't know. I mean, one of them will be Amad Diallo, who's hardly played, of course, and there'll be a couple more of them. But that's what he was saying. They reckon they could have as many as 9 out because he's trying to get them back for December when they know that they've got games every 3 days. Yeah. And there's obviously Champions League games.
Midweek hell.
Yeah. But they got the Champions League after us.
Because he can't sit on the bench, so maybe he gets lonely
yeah, absolutely.
And wants people to sit next to him.
Because, of course, he can't stand on the touchline at Goodison either. He's got to sit in the stand. He's got to save a one-match ban.
Yeah, Ten Hag is out on card accumulation for our game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that helps or hurts us. We'll find out in 2 weeks, I guess.
Absolutely, we will.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we will.
It's going to be great. Like, watch. He'll probably be glad he missed this one because it'll take the sting off of him, and be like, you know what? We should have had Ten Hag here. We should. Let's help Ten Hag out by making it clear that he was the better guy behind the touchline.
Let's batter them 4-0 and say, well, it wouldn't have happened if Ten Hag was on the line.
Aren't they?
They are. You know what, though? Well, you say that. They win or they lose. They've won 7 or lost 5. So let's even it up a bit. Let's win 7.
But when you do like a
6.
recent games league table, they're right up there.
It is mad that they've lost 50% of their fixtures this season.
Yeah.
And yet he's won there's only Alex Ferguson who won more than he did over a period of time.
He's taken to heart this draws aren't very good for you in the Premier League.
Hey, he's done. I like to
Win or
call it the
lose.
Maurizio Pochettino thing, which he used to do with Spurs. They would win nearly as many.
We went quite a while with just the one draw, didn't we? Yeah. So.
Well, yeah.
Here's the other thing. A lot of their wins have been scrappy 1-0s.
Yeah, that's true. And late equalisers and late goals.
United are shithousing 1-0 wins, and we're out there playing exciting football. What time?
Who knew?
I love the sideline.
Normal service has been resumed.
Who knew? Who knew? Everton, the entertainers.
Yeah.
It is mad because I seen a bit of their game at the weekend. Had a little watch back of it was on like the highlight, but like extended highlight.
On Sky.
Luton had a few opportunities.
They did.
In that
They
as well.
did. Yeah.
United still look rocky.
They do.
At the back, they've obviously got a talented players going forward. Listen, they could turn up at Goodison and Rashford has one of them days where it all goes right, or Bruno Fernandes.
They're not quite a team though, are they?
Don't forget. Can I just put this out? I shouldn't, but I'm gonna. Rasmus Højlund hasn't scored a Premier League goal yet, has he?
He's injured.
Back in the days of Everton, a lot of people would be putting a lot of money on.
I know he's got a bit of an injury.
Couldn't keep your mouth shut, could you?
I'm just saying because it'll happen.
Yeah.
You know, we had one even Saturday. They were trying to cry things in, and the week before against Brighton, he hasn't scored for a few games. They love it against us.
Yeah.
Don't they? They love
I
it.
fancy us my prediction 3-1 to Everton.
Ooh, I like that.
Players just early enough to have it nervy. And yet we get it, and we rescue a couple, including Decore missing like 3 sitters, and then scoring this banger goal out of nowhere. Like
I hope so, mate. Honestly, if that happens, you will be the toast of the city.
This will be going out as a clip if that happens.
We'll be replaying this clip over and over again of you predicting.
You know how that his Decore's goal in the game against Crystal Palace didn't look like something out of a video game, and I've said this a couple of times to other platforms. And not even a FIFA or a Pro Evolution. But you know that there's this fictional sport underwater in Final Fantasy X called Blitzball. It looks like that, only in Blitzball you can use your hands, so not that far.
Okay.
But there was just rebounding from one to the other to Mikolenko to Post to...
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, I give you a Canadian.
We're there. He's using references.
It went to Miko, the keeper. Right. Well, actually, I think it was somebody else before Miko, then the Post, then the keeper,
Garner
then
to Mikolenko.
Superb pass. Yeah, superb pass. Yeah,
that was a great pass by Garner. Yeah, whether he meant it is a different thing, but it was a great pass. But
interesting guy. Yeah.
Well, that's it.
And that's the thing. Decore, you know how Darwin Núñez has this reputation of being an absolute agent of chaos who will miss like a tap, who will miss like one from 2 yards out that I could have scored, and then bang in one with his butt from behind, or bang in like one when he was trying to cross it, or when he was doing a pass or something like that. We have a guy that costs significantly less, not in a forward role, who's even better at that kind of agent of chaos role.
What you want?
Just proves that you can have an attacking midfielder who's a battering ram rather than like a silky creative player.
Well, he's gone.
I can dig it.
He's gone into the, as Ped said yesterday or Monday, he's gone into that Kale role that we used to have.
He has.
Player who's just in behind, who comes up with big goals, and that's what Decore's took that role on, hasn't he? From and we've needed it because no players scored more goals under Sean Dyche than Abdoulaye Decore. So long may it continue.
Yes,
including the banger against United that you're promising us. So we await that one.
And I hope it looks absolutely stupid. So that we can laugh our asses off, and United folks can be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, you want a huge
other language, other uses of expletives.
A huge deflection.
With a B, We apologise if you're
thing in Canada.
worried
Yeah.
about it. Not yet.
Or
There's no
my
such thing.
apologies, but yeah,
Yeah.
French being the second official language. Yeah, it
You
just
could have
comes
sworn
out.
in French. It would have been better.
How about knock? Like that.
See?
There we go. But yeah, like, and there'll be like, they'll be like, their heads will
Fall off.
have gone topsy turvy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Yes,
we want. That's what we
That
need.
would be really interesting. That would be, but I mean, I really like our vibe, especially given, say, early on in the season, we thought we were already fudged, messed, relegated, hosed. Oh, I said it. I said another.
That's okay. That's okay. Go on.
Yeah, the R word.
Yeah. You did. It was the R word that I had to look away.
In the past tense, though.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, but now we're now and like in October, even after a really humiliating defeat and a milestone for a certain team that wasn't in the top division for 3 years, we looked like we were turbo hosed, and yet not even 2 weeks later, we looked like we were on the up and nailed on that we got away with one because there really are 3 teams worse than everybody. And now we're looking up the table rather than down.
That's true.
I mean, that's a little weird, huh? I mean,
That's
up
football.
the table?
Yeah.
But that's it. That's what it's about. I always maintained, despite some people trying to tell me in these comments in the summer, that we were much better than what people were saying. And it was what the manager's done really well is he's got them. I think, John, you were in the same boat. We've had many where this squad is far better than what it's showing. And what he's done well,
he's found a way.
He's managed to get the bit out of them. He's got them organised. They look fitter, stronger. They're far more resilient. He deserves massive credit for that.
Great team spirit.
Saturday proved that to score, to take the lead 3 times in a game shows resilience, big resilience, and full credit to the manager for doing that and for getting the players like that. They look together, and what you're seeing is a team that has got a bit of belief now, and therefore, when there's handful of teams who are good in this league and the rest are average and Everton are well in there, then you can finish as high as 8th, 9th. Not saying Everton will, but that's what you can by being consistent, and that's where we are right now, and that's what you've got to try and do. And listen, if Everton end up 11th, 12th, but safe by March, February, but March,
we'll be safe.
We'll all be delighted, won't we?
I think we'll be safe in March.
We should all avoid complacency.
If this form,
oh,
absolutely, yeah.
Lay off any kind of Europe shouts until at least late February.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'll be laying off the Europe shouts till we qualify for Europe, because with Everton that they sometimes find a way when it's impossible.
I was being facetious.
No, I know you were. Yeah, easy for you to say, but yeah.
I went to the local team's game back in mid-October at the Wanderers grounds, and they put in like an absolute battling, we believe we can do this performance that made me proud, and the Crystal Palace one reminded me of that. I mean, we lost against Pacific, and by the way, Pacific, it's impressive on Pacific's part because the travel they had to take after 3 days having played a game is that travel is some of the worst travel in the sport. That's like 4,000 kilometers.
Well, that's a bit far, isn't it?
Yeah. That is a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and they managed to pull it out of the bag. That's impressive for them. The fact that we battled this hard for like 110 minutes and never gave up deserved the standing ovation we got even when we were bounced from the playoffs by these. I got over the loss very quickly because of that. And
that's it, yeah.
And it got me believing in this sport again. And you guys are continuing now that our season is over. I'm glad that you guys have continued that hope.
It's the hope that gets you.
It is the hope that kills you.
No, but if it's the hope that kills you, I wouldn't mind at least dying happy.
Oh, excellent.
Well, let's win some trophies first, mate, before we depart this earth.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Entirely.
Absolutely.
I like living way too much, and I want to do the other thing like 50 years down the road.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm 41, by the way.
Well, so you've got a lot of years left, Jordan, to see us win some trophies.
I turned 41 today.
Today?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jordan.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
Thanks. I think that's enough out of me.
Okay.
I'm glad
It was great to
have
talk to you.
had another go on positive terms because I know
excellent.
the last few times I came in here, it was when we were in a bit of trouble.
Mm.
Now on the FOOKHED-O-meter, we only have like a bit nervy or a mad one.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Oh, excellent. Good man. Thanks,
It's right, Jordan. Nice one for the call, mate. Have a good birthday. Have a couple of scoops.
Yes. I don't drink, so bevies around.
No. Scoops could be ice cream.
Yeah.
Scoops could
Yeah,
be
scoops
a
of
cup
ice
of
cream, you
tea.
bet.
Could be a
I
cup
have a
of tea.
sweet tooth of the ages.
Could be mousse. It could be anything you want it to be. But have a great birthday.
Take care, friend.
You know it. My kitty is on the desk, and I'll be petting her.
Fair play. Hey, you
what a
pet
great
whatever
call.
kitty you want. See you
What a
later.
great call.
What a man. What a
Yeah.
G. Big Jordan there. People loving the Christmas jumpers that mean you were wearing then, John.
Yeah. I'd like the banner that you were holding. So.
Well, you know, sometimes you've got to bring the banner out, haven't you? You've got to bring the banner out.
I was worried that he was going to do other banners.
I was, yeah, that did. I'll be honest. I'll be honest.
Just think of the power I've got behind it.
I know. Well, that was it. Yeah, that was it. It's all good, isn't it? It's all good.
It was.
Let's have a look here. Brian Garside says the suspicion is that all these organisations are corrupt. These are the words of Brian. Are corrupt and have influence over others. How can we be sure the independent inquiry will be as white and actually independent?
Because it's led by a KC and it's not worth him.
The Sunshine Band.
You know, someone of that substance isn't going to risk it. You know, a reputation.
You say that, John.
Just well, money. You might argue money talks, but come on, we're getting a bit too conspiratorial then. Yeah. But I mean, that's the Premier League's problem, isn't it? That even when you have a KC looking into an independent commission, people will not unreasonably say, "How do we know it's really independent?" That's how far their brand, as from a administrative point of view, has fallen. So who runs the place again? Yeah,
exactly. Steve P says, Baz, have you seen 19-year-old Brazilian winger Savio? He's on loan at Girona from Troyes. I didn't realise they were part of the City group. They are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I know Girona, but didn't have a clue. Troyes were as well. He will definitely be end up at City. It amazes me how we don't try and get a link up with them by loan and buying their young players when they've got one of the best academies in Europe, and they have no issues letting them go. They sell highly rated youngsters every season. It's part of their business model. We should be all over it. Absolutely, we should. Look at the likes of Lavia. Went to Southampton for a year. Excuse me, you pay 15 million for him and sold him for, 63 to Chelsea a year later. City have got some cracking young players who would make play. Well, you've got players like they've had obviously Sancho who'd gone off to Germany.
Sure.
They had Diaz, didn't he? Didn't really do anything for them, but was at Madrid and gone elsewhere. There's just so many players that they've got who or have had who Everton could have got hold of one or two
Absolutely.
of them certainly, and you know, integrated them, and knowing that the top players, and if you play them and get games under them, you're gonna make money on them.
True.
And obviously being really well coached with that Man City. Darmad says, I can't understand how Chelsea and City went under the radar for nearly 10 years while we're under investigation for the last couple of seasons and we're being punished first. Blows my mind.
If you don't look, you don't find things. Yeah.
It is crazy though, isn't it? It's
There has to be political.
It's gotta be,
isn't there? No one wants to look. Why would you bother? Why would you rock the boat?
Yeah.
Bringing millions of pounds in the Premier League and all that kind of thing. Same with City, isn't it? Why would you be asked? European champions. Isn't that good for the city? For the country, isn't it?
Good for the Premier
Good
League.
for the Premier League, isn't it?
yeah.
Good for the brand. Don't worry about where it come from or who it is.
Well, don't forget that only really come about because someone had hacked emails.
Germany,
from
Mr.
Germany.
Germany who did it.
Yeah.
Build,
Yeah.
done it.
Mad. Darmad also says, if we still had Richie in the squad now, Where do you think he'd fit into the team? And would the formation need to be altered to fit him in? I'm thinking instead of Harrison, even though he's doing a good job for us and gives us balance, do you think Spurs will ever offer us back to him, even on loan? I miss his shithousery and fight every game. Even this current squad has more fight than last couple of seasons. And selling Iwobi has given us away more balanced teams to finish off. Will he play off the left? McNeil would have to be sub.
Wing back.
Or play left back, but
Yeah, yeah.
Mikalenko's playing well there, so, or play centre mid, or be sub. That's the way it is. Richie could also do the Decore role.
That's
and
true.
be running past Dom, couldn't he? He has kind of played there under Carlo. When Everton played a 4-4-1-1 at time. I know people said it's a 4-4-2, but if you look where he was floating in behind Dom and running beyond. He can play any. The thing with Richarlison is he can play anywhere across the front three. That's the perfect thing about him. And he's a hard worker. He actually is a Sean Dyche type, not Sean Dyche type player, but a player who I think Sean Dyche would love because he gives everything for the cause. And he's got a goal in him. Do I ever think he'll come back to Everton? Don't know.
Is an interesting one.
Don't know. Go ahead, mate.
17 minutes ago, Telegraph Football. Manchester City should be the poster boys for English football, but instead they are in a kind of legal collision with authorities that will define the game for a generation. Sam Wallace has written that. Isn't that weird that he's written that on the day of Chelsea?
And Sam of all people.
The rocks are being uncovered.
They are.
I'm a Chelsea fan.
But isn't it interesting?
Well connected there.
But isn't it interesting that the rocks have been turned over in the week where these people think Everton will be
results coming out?
Their results will come out from the commission. Isn't that interesting?
It is. It is.
Everyone's getting there. We said it. We said it. We said it. No. Go back. We said it.
They know that hell will come to pay once it comes out for our Everton, because Evertonians are going to kick up such a fuss.
Absolutely. Whichever way it goes.
Whichever way. Even if Everton get the commission say we're satisfied with what Everton said, there's no way we should allow the Premier League to be comfortable with this. We should need to go after them. So you've caused us massive problems for a couple of years while just looking the other way, while other teams were having the success. And all. It's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. But we'll see.
Totally.
We'll see. That we need to start literally kicking asses now. Taking names, John, as they say. And Richard Masters is the first one.
Photographs.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it all. Tower Badger said it's called you Pet Spielberg.
I think so.
I think some of the stuff you've done is tremendous.
You've put the bar where Ned can't go.
EFC Graham says a points deduction would mean we drop places, and you lose 2 million a place plus a fine, which would look like a witch hunt and a cowardly way to show how tough they are, but too scared to punish City and Chelsea. Well, that's how it comes across.
That's exactly how it comes across.
As like hit the smallest one and just have 5 men round you all going, go ahead, bullying. Because that's all. It's
called the NIAS approach.
It is. The NIAS rule I told you, page 12, rule 33.2b. The NIAS rule, only to be used once and then buried. And that's what they would try to do with this. And as long as they are dragged from being able to regulate this, which they will be, and again, Richard Masters, it's on you as the CEO. So I wait the day in the next week when you resign, because you have to. Because it's embarrassing what you're doing to the Premier League. All this stuff on your watch that keeps surfacing.
And when asked about it, you don't have a comment.
Yeah.
Come on, get in front of a camera. Panicking. Go to Legacy people if you have to, but get in front of a camera and tell us what you think is the right thing. Go and get your mate,
Scudamore, who said United had to be in the top 4 and they were awarded 15 penalties the next year. Get him out as well. You know, and he was very defensive when Gary Neville said needs independent regulating. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We can regulate ourselves. Then got the £3 million bonus as he left. It's all out there. It's all there. If people want to look, it's all there.
Plain sight.
It is in plain sight. And that's the thing now. And I think that's why I get wound up with it now, is that they used to try to be sneaky about it. Now they don't. They look
that's
at you.
That's called complacency, Baz.
Yeah. And it's getting looser and looser and looser. That things, you can just see it. And it's bad. It is bad.
You know what? They could appoint an independent regulator who would do an immediate review of the administrative operation of the Premier League, just to set a baseline of where are we at.
Where are we at, yeah.
And I think you would find people would resign before that started.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to, wouldn't you? You get off and you leg it, and you hope that you're not one who's called in.
Didn't happen while I was around.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do, don't you?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we had to let Newcastle in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takeover's passed. Oh, I've resigned as well. See him gone.
Yeah.
Out the door. Well, he doesn't work here anymore. And we already said, yeah. So, yeah, we'll have to let them. And whether that was pressure from Boris, and I'm sure it was, and his mates. But that happened in that timescale. And when asked about it and when they were looking into it, where's that gone? That was mentioned in the
That's true.
Houses of Parliament.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are you up to? The Newcastle investigation? Oh, it's ongoing. Well, where is it?
Everything's ongoing.
Where is it?
City's ongoing.
City. And that's why you see
stuff you can fast track if you want to.
But once you open
smaller clubs, allegedly.
But when you think, do you know, like we've often said this about Everton, haven't we? Like, and we often said it about what happened in January.
Yeah.
And meant the board were done.
Oh, no CCTV. Sorry.
Who said, yeah, go ahead, put that statement out?
Yeah.
Right. So forget about Everton. Who in the Premier League went, yeah, let's go after Everton?
Yeah.
Because that'll show when. There's a big pile up here of files on Chelsea and City and other teams, and we know there's others in the process. Oh, and we've got all this, what the former CEO did and said, and we know this, and people look, they'll find it. Who went, yeah, go ahead then. There's that one, there it is, John. There's that one piece of paper that says Everton might have done it.
Well, we've got to do something.
There's nobody that went.
We've got to do something.
No one the torch, when you switch the lights on, and you can see all this, and we're all done. Did no one say that? Or are they, and were they too complacent, like you said? Did they just go, no one will put the lights on, we're all right because we'll go, we've got Everton for you? Is that what they did? Because a lot of times that does come back. Complacency ends in not a good place most of the time.
They're all earning lots and lots of money for maintaining the status quo.
It is mad when you try to absolutely destroy English football. I still find it mad that, when was it, 2 years ago, was it? More? 2.5 years ago, was it? It was in COVID, wasn't it? The end of COVID. I do find it mad that then clubs all signed an agreement to go, which they haven't. They resigned from, but apparently they didn't resign from another thing. They all decided to go and do this thing that you're not allowed to do. And then because fans got some placards out and had a little go, they all
wobble.
And went, oh, what should we do and all that when it's come out Liverpool. And
well, we were only going because we didn't want to be left behind.
United were the forerunners.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It was their idea.
The City's
basically.
weak reason we didn't want to be left behind. Well, you could have been one of the 15.
But they could have done it what Bayern did and said, no, you're not going in it. And PSG, we're not going in it.
Big clubs in their countries said no.
But why were they allowed to just? And what makes you laugh about the media in this, and this is what you should all remember.
You mean legacy media?
I'm talking Sky and people like that. Remember, right, the first couple of days when they all agreed to go, they had everyone. They wheeled everyone on. This is a disgrace. They're wrecking English football. The minute they started backtracking and they thought, oh no, they're back on our tellies. It all went quiet. Oh, well, they aren't going now. You know, it would have wrecked it, but we've saved it now. It's all, forget about that. Oh, what about Everton? You know, look over there. All of that happened, and then they got to choose the punishment. Imagine that.
But even Gary doesn't talk about the treacherous six, does he? He blames the 14 for not having stronger.
But he's right.
Backs.
He is right about that.
No, he is right.
14 should have gone, we're having the vote, and you 6 are
But
gone.
it's like the editorial says, you can't slag these lot.
Of course.
So he's saying, well, I'm going to slag them off by saying these guys should stand up for themselves. Remember what we say on this channel, it's never too late to do the right thing.
No.
14, stick together.
Put your headphones on quick.
Yeah.
Brian
Have we got
Garside,
someone?
very quickly.
Not the Brian.
Hang on, if you just said Brian Garside and quickly in the same sentence.
Yeah.
Go on, Bri.
Go on, Brian.
There he is. Here's the man. The man, the legend. I mean, I can only see his chin, but it doesn't matter because we don't need to. We just need to hear him. Go ahead, Brian. What are you up to? What do you want to say?
Well, actually, John has just got into it there. I thought it was quite funny about your rallying cry.
Okay.
Baz was funny, you mean?
It was quite a good rant, actually, Baz. I have to give you that. It was very well, very good.
That's nice of you to say, right?
How about mobilising the fan base? And I don't just mean Evertonians. I mean nationwide. Get in touch with the podcasters and fans' TV channels, get onto their programs, tell them about what's going on, because I'm sure a lot of these guys are very ignorant of the facts. I'm sure they're ignorant of the facts. They don't know what's going on, and they're just getting some snippets that have been released in the press. But if they got some more history on the shenanigans of these organizations and what they've done in the past, then they might just start waking up and raising a few voices.
You know what, Brian?
Communities.
The only problem, Brian, I listen to great idea, but the only problem is, and I think we said this before, are people really bothered until it happens to them? And I think we see this in society, to be perfectly honest, don't we? I don't know whether people are that bothered, Brian, until it happens to them. There might be some, but I think certainly none of the top six are going to jump in bed with Everton fans, are they? Going, you're right, this is terrible.
But the 14.
But some of them don't like Everton. And then, hang on, you've got Newcastle. Where are Newcastle in this?
Well, I think Newcastle should be with the 14 because
I think they'll want to be with the 7.
Well, maybe they want to become a 7, right? But maybe that's what history shows us, that 6 don't want someone who can come and compete with them.
Well, they don't, do they?
And Newcastle...
They just done a vote the other day that you can't have certain types of sponsorship.
Exactly right. So their fan base are smart guys. They're very passionate. And they can say, well, you know what, if we can get this thing sorted out, exactly what Brian says, where we all pull together, get back to close to a fair fight, if you will, a level playing field, then they would wager, wouldn't they, with their ownership, that they'll rise to the top. You know, they might not overtake a City or a United, but they can give all the others a good run for their money, can't they? But not if those 6, the treacherous 6, use their devious tactics as they have before, which says, sorry, lads, it's a long time since we pulled the ladder up. You know, we're not dropping it again now. And I just think there must become a tipping point when the average fan in this country says, enough. It really is enough. You know, and if fans throughout the country suddenly decide, you know what, the chief exec of the Premier League is overseeing something we're not really happy with at all. And you talk about, just them, Baz, about until it impacts them. That's the financial side. The playing side, the ineffectiveness of PG Mall, the fact that VAR is a joke in this country, that's all under the Premier League's watch as well. It doesn't work in the football that give us most money, therefore you can't have automated offside. We'll do it next season. Everything gets kicked down the road, doesn't it? Absolutely everything with this league gets kicked down the road. And so fans out there in the 14, we'll call it, you could actually impact you next week, right? Because VAR will screw you over. Because actually, you know, a game requires one of the 6 to win or one of the 6 not to lose or whatever. And we know that when that happens, human beings called referees get pressured, don't they? And things happen.
Yeah.
You know, so, but you're right. I think the default would be, yeah, okay, well, you know, see Everton got away with it. You know, what about City? Well, that won't happen anytime soon, will it?
No, what I think it's more. I think if Everton got done, I think people would be, it feels like some people would be happy than City getting done.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they're already the elite. They're already winning things. Everton, you knobheads. You just try to be better than you know what I mean, and all that. And I think some of them will be quite pleased we got done. That's how it comes across. I don't know.
You see, when you have a beautiful football team playing beautiful football, people will turn a blind eye. I'm not saying that Everton don't do that. But you know, but if Everton got really dumped on, I think the general narrative from the wider football family, if you will, would be about time to been cheating for years.
That's what I
mean.
Blah,
blah. But that's a narrative that has come from the Premier League when it's briefed journalists. And journalists with a vested interest, whether they're the in-house version for Chelsea. I don't think City tend to do that because they're just so dominant as a football team. So if you want football to be better, you want Everton to get crapped on, don't you?
You mean society doesn't mind the fat cat getting away with stuff while the little people get trampled on?
Yeah. Isn't that how society works?
I think so,
generally.
Yeah. Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
Emma at EFC said the Housewives' favourite's on fire tonight. So
But it is.
Listen,
It is. I know
fair
it is.
play, Emma.
The whole of today is about little people getting trampled over while fat cats get away with stuff.
Yeah.
That's literally the narrative of the whole country at the moment. So why would it change for football? We love in this country for some reason. It wouldn't happen in like somewhere like France.
No.
We'd be all out in our tractors kicking off. But in this country, for some reason, we absolutely hate people getting above their station. But the people who have already got that station and were born into it, they can just do what they want.
Well, because they get control of the narrative and have influence and so on. But this is a sporting context. It might be a microcosm of it. You know, it's not 60 or 70 million.
Sadly, though, it's happening in football now. But it has been happening in football for ages.
Well, it's about controlling narratives. It's about, you know, the cute usage of social platforms and stuff like that, where you can make complete and utter made up stories look like they're real.
And to be fair, City have actually turned that on the head, because what they've done is turned their story into a feel-good story when it's not a feel-good story. When people go, oh, it's a miracle Man City won the treble, unbelievable, what a journey from League Two. And it's like, it's not really that much of a miracle, is it? I mean, without being the same, and I don't really want to give them any grief, but it's like Wrexham, isn't it? What a story. No, it's
money.
It is. It's a great story, don't get me wrong, and I'm enjoying it. But it's money. It's clout. It's having a TV programme that other teams don't have. It's, you know, it's...
But both those two clubs you reference, right?
Salford, another one?
Yeah. Lesser, but yeah. But those two clubs you reference there are both, their ownership are doing stuff in the community as well.
Yeah.
Which they don't have to do because no one sees it, right? And some of the other four might look to do some of that if they've got any sense. But you're right, it's all about influence and control. And if you can influence the media to be on your side, then that's the truth we see, isn't it? It's not real truth, but it's the truth we see. And you know, countries have been doing that for decades.
Of course they have.
Yeah.
Mad. It's all mad.
But I'm with
well, you know
Brian,
what?
by the way. I do think the wider fan community of all clubs, they will eventually get there and go, you know, enough's enough. We'll see.
Go on, Brian.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. The first thing, the beauty of all this, these journalists finding all this new information, the beauty of it is that we'll be able to use the Premier League's own rules to beat them with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is just going to be so enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. That I just think.
As long as they're honest enough to do it, of course.
Well, I think they're idiots, the Premier League. I do. I think.
Yeah, but it's just that they find things to punish Everton with. They take Everton as the example.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to use the very same rules against them. Because by coming to a verdict, they will then have to be forced to hopefully use the same rules to all clubs.
Absolutely. And once they've dealt with us, we have a number of years, don't we, where we can't be done again.
We use their own rules to beat them with. And I don't know what it is, but I just seem to have some kind of knack of causing some kind of heated discussion every time I do something for this channel.
It's good, Bri.
It is good, Bri. It is.
Well, onwards and upwards, and fingers crossed. And we hope that this inquisition, if you want to call it that, comes to the rightful conclusions.
Yeah. I think, put it this way, I think next week when we do this show, I think we will know.
That's the latest
I think
story,
we'll probably know what the outcome is. So no doubt we'll be doing more on it.
Yeah.
Then, but
I'll tell you what, I hope they've been listening to this program, because they start thinking about getting the entire nation of football supporters marching on London. In fact, the Geordies sang a song about that many years ago. So maybe they have the entire football fans, nation of football fans marching on London.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what'll happen.
Would you come over, Bri? Yeah.
Oh, it'd be interesting. I don't know if I'll be allowed.
He never said no. He never said no. Well done. Well done. And you put your camera on as well, so thank you for that. Yeah. Take care.
Top man, Bri. Look after yourself.
Cheers, Bri.
See
you, mate.
Bye.
Brian from Sweden there. Right, last couple of comments. Damien.
Say Sweden.
Damien says the fact they released a 12-point deduction on the day that Bill's death was announced was disgusting and shameful. Absolutely. Says, bang on. Baz. Bob the Blue says, God help them if they go for us. Well said, Bob. Where are we? Here, Elevate says, how can relegating and fining a club be protecting them? It's like your mum kicking you out and taking your money for your own good. Very odd. Ian McPartland says, loved Brian on the making of Now and Then. Thumbs up, Mackie. He says he's like McCartney, Paul McCartney, doesn't he? And Damien makes, and it is a good point, the other teams need to realise whatever the Prem does, it affects them too.
Of course it does, yeah.
Yeah. And EFC Graham says, isn't it sad that football is now a brand and gets run so as to not upset clubs that bring in the most revenue,
True.
rather than it being run for all clubs?
True.
And it is, and that's where it is. Right, that is us done. Like, subscribe, get your Christmas jumper, do all that thing, and remember to be ready to mobilise against the Premier League. That's my rally call for you all tonight.
You're having conscription.
We'll sort it when you know.
We're
sending in Ned to start. He's off.
Front.
Ned and Cam, they're going in first.
They'll be first out the trenches, won't
Yeah, they're the ones. So, fair play. Listen, have a great night. See you later.
they? Take care.